Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's the only place that you'll find our expansive resource library. Every form, checklist, visual and dialogue that you'll ever need to systemize your business. Available to edit in PDF to rapidly take your business to the next level. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, I'm reading the new book by Gilbert Anaka, one of the great mindset coaches of the All Blacks. And he's got this incredible quote in there that he says that you will never rise above the opinion that you have of yourself. What do you think a little bit about that? Because I see a lot of people who are like, hey, when I'm only 20, when I'm 30, then I'll give it a go. Or, I wasn't born in the East, so I won't be able to be a good agent in the East. Or, they've got all of these limiting beliefs about who they could be and what they could become. But yet Gilbert's saying you've got to spend a lot of time on getting your mindset right and the type of person that you want to become. How important is that for someone to start to think about to really make their career absolutely phenomenal?
It's probably listening to the right people, having some sort of mentor or your own vision on what you can be and say, okay, this is where I want to get, this is where I want to be, but what I need to do to get there and what do I need to do every minute of every day to get there. So, I think probably when I look back for a few things that happened to me in my career, probably the first one was, the sales meeting at McGrath and John McGrath saying that I was 21 selling terraces in Paddington, but how he got listings over, 40-year-olds and having that mindset that I'm going to be more hungry, I'm going to make more calls, I'm going to be more diligent and cutting through it. And then obviously the things start to compound. So I think mindset is obviously it's you sort of starting to believe in things and sort of doubting yourself and second guessing and having excuses and going, I'll do this later, I'll do that, or I don't need to do this. So I think a lot of it comes down to, most of it's your desire and what you want to do and how you get there.
Here's a big one for removing the chatter that's going on in your brain, because he's saying that, the whole thing is that some people are way too far out in the future, so they've got a ton of anxiety about that. They can't get over what happened yesterday, so they're actually just in this position that they're actually making no movement at all. And what he often says is bring the horizon forward so that then you can really be in this moment and just play today, be in this exact moment right now to go to make that happen. And it's interesting because they talk about this thing that the pressure moments really come on. And he says that pressure is a privilege. And when you start to think about that, you're in that game where you're a couple of points behind and you got the chance to be able to score and you're down on the clock and you've got a minute until whether or not you win the championship or not. That amount of pressure that's on and pressure to perform is what actually makes the greats the great. Do you think that people need to start to understand that, pressure actually is a privilege inside of our careers and being able to operate at this level is a completely different game if you make the decision to go there?
Yeah, pressure, there's a few sales we did this week and I think the vendors probably were amazed at how we dealt with it at the pressure cooker time. This just was very calm in what we do, and that's what we thrive to get to that point. But to get to that point, it took us hundreds of sales, many years, many moments where you didn't do it right, many mistakes that allowed us to get to that point that we were actually the best at that point in time. So the pressure is something that people probably can't handle because they've never got to that point or they've never stuffed it up. So you've got to I think you have to do it multiple times to make sure that you can handle it. It's that.
So it's all the practice before the big moment actually happens,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's doing it. That's why sports teams practice and they practice that last clutch shot and all that last field goal to make sure that when they're in that moment that they just hit it. So
he said there's no point practicing the perfect play. You got to practice that everything's going to go sideways. Yeah. And that whole idea here is that literally he's saying that that first hour of every day that the best people are in a position that they're spending that time in really fine tuning the mindset of the type of person that they want to become and then thinking about the behaviours and the disciplines of what it's going to take to go to get there.
Yeah.
And when you start to think about what you've done in that first hour of the day of what Alexander Phillips does in his own mindset, thinking about the plays of the day, who am I calling as a buyer, who am I calling as a seller, how am I driving the team, what discipline do we have, which market are we going after, how are we going to go and land every single one, and anticipating what could go wrong to be able to make sure that you put safeguards in place in how you work with the stakeholders, how you work with the mortgage broker, how you work with the pest and building inspection, whatever it is absolutely really phenomenal because you're really in that position that you're making that decision to become one of the greats to minimise error today to maximise outcome later this afternoon.
How important is it for someone to be able to go and spend that first hour in their own mind, really thinking about the disciplines and the behaviours that are going to be required to make today the winning day out of every day in the week?
Well, it just helps you be fully focused and planned on what you need to do, so you're spending your energy on the best things.